Welcome to the England Rugby Pod. Thanks for downloading episode 38. The Red Roses have now beaten Italy and the USA, taking their three-game tally to 159 points. You're listening to the England Rugby Pod, the rugby podcast that believes England will win the World Cup in 2019. Hey guys, welcome again to our Saturday series, which clearly has become a Sunday series. Apologies for that, it's been a busy weekend, but we're here and we've got the episode out nonetheless. I'm joined, of course, by Dan. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. The England women are looking good, aren't they?
They are looking very good, yeah. It's going to be, well, I'd like to say it's going to be pretty obvious what the final's going to look like, but of course, I believe it's Tuesday, actually, weirdly, the semi-final. We'll obviously determine that. I think it's England against France in our semi and New Zealand against USA in the other semi. Very good of England to give USA the bonus point to get them into the semis.
It's but like you say, it's hard to imagine it not being England New Zealand final. I can't really see a scenario where that's not the case. USA definitely won't be strong enough for New Zealand. France might give England a tough match, but I just think England will be too strong.
I agree, and it's interesting actually. So if you look at the stats, right, you would say New Zealand look like they have the upper hand. They've scored 213 points in their last three games, which is ridiculous. Okay, yeah. But England, also looking really strong, have scored 159 points in their last three games, which under normal circumstances is ridiculous. But if you break it down, if you have a look at the individual games, actually, New Zealand, 121 of those points that they've scored came against Hong Kong when they beat them 121-0. So clearly Hong Kong, not strong at all when it comes to women's rugby, gifted them a huge number of points. Take those out of the equation, 44-12 against Wales and 48-5 against Canada, both obviously strong wins, but both very similar to what England have done. 56-5 against Spain, 56-13 against Italy, which we will talk about in this episode, and then obviously 47-26 against the USA. It looked like that. That could have been a 60-70 pointer. They basically destroyed them in their first they destroyed them in the first half an hour, but at about 60 minutes they seemed to just sort of, as teams often do, just switch off and because what else is there you need to do? I mean, we've just been watching the World Championships, in the athletics, and it's a good example. These guys, until the final, until it absolutely is necessary, when they know they've done enough, then they kind of take their foot off the gas a bit. And I think that's what England did against the USA, and it's what enabled the USA to grab those tries at the late tries at the end and find their way into the semi with the bonus point. So fair play.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's what happened, because if it's not, it's a little worrying. That's the first time I've had concern about England. Like you say, New Zealand seems strong. It's so hard to compare because England and New Zealand are so clearly the best two teams.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about sort of 40, 50-point wins, a game could easily be a 40-point win or a 60-point win when it's that difference in class. The England, like you said about the USA match, that was a little bit worrying. Our defence got found out a bit. We've got to bear in mind, New Zealand won't have... They've got some brilliant wingers and things, but the USA back three, just for pace of them. I mean, I think a couple of them were all-American sprinters. So that obviously does help open up a defence when you're a bit tired, when there's not really the motivation to put in every effort. But it's still got to be a little bit of a concern. I mean, New Zealand will be watching that thinking, look, this England defence can be opened up, which is a shame, because up till now they've looked so strong.
Are Canada not considered third best team in the world on paper?
On paper, I believe current rankings they are, yeah.
So would you not think that England equally would look at the New Zealand game and say, 40? They only managed to put 48 points on them. Okay, their defence was stronger. They didn't let up. They didn't let Canada in. But it was 1 point more than England put on the USA. And as we know, there's no question in my mind, they took their foot off the gas. Simple as that. I don't think the USA discovered something that they hadn't found until late in the game. I think England took their foot off the gas. A lot of changes got made that perhaps were made because why not? you've got the lead. You know, you're going to win your group. It doesn't really make any difference to England whether they win by 50 points or 20 points at this stage. So I feel like they took their foot off the gas. I think potentially it was a little tactical decision. Let's not give too much away. Let's make some changes. We don't need to do any more. Because I think they looked so clinical in that first 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes even. The ability is there. You know, I'd be surprised if it was anything more than making those changes, taking their foot off the gas a little bit, because there was less they needed to do at that point. And perhaps just, you know, keeping a little bit extra in the tank for the New Zealand game, which will be a big game.
Yeah, and I hope so. And I think you're right. And I think you made a good point. I mean, it was scary how dominant England were against the USA in the first sort of 20, 30 minutes, just how they just absolutely blew them off the park. I mean, bearing in mind, USA are meant to be a strong team, not meant to be, are a strong team in women's rugby. And I think that comparison also probably helps highlight that actually at the end how much I'd taken my foot off the gas. And I think you are right. I don't think it's an area of concern, but it's just something that sort of was in the back of my mind, because, I mean, looking at the Italy match, watching that, I thought England were brilliant. Danielle Waterman, the fullback, the only question I've got is, she should have been on the bloody Lions tour. Did you see some of the runs she was doing?
Yeah,
I think she's better than Liam Williams and Lee Halfpenny put together. I mean, she was absolutely outstanding. And the more I see the England team play, the more I like the look of it. Our front row, I think, is absolutely awesome. They're so powerful, but they're so mobile as well.
Yeah.
Our back row, is it Packer? Is it Packer?
Marley Packer.
Marley Packer. My God, was she awesome against the USA. And then you're looking at the back, you've got the likes of Kate McLean, Emily Scarrett, fantastic player, Danielle Waterman, looking at our wings. It's a really, really strong England team. And, I mean, just against Italy, against USA, because the reality is no team has been able to touch England, but then no team's been able to touch New Zealand either.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. They're two sides very much set apart from the rest, aren't they? And so one of the decisions they need to make is obviously fly half. I don't think there's really a decision. I think Katie McLean is surely the clear favourite there.
Definitely, yeah.
Because who is it? I'm just trying to find now while we're chatting. The other the woman that plays fly half for England.
I know who you mean. I can't remember her name, but I think that's always been sort of a stand-in while sort of to give Katie McLean a rest. Because Katie McLean is the go-to fly half. She was captain last time we won the World Cup. She's in the sevens. Her control of the game, I think she's probably considered the best fly half in the world in women's rugby. That's
certainly looked
my opinion. Yeah, I think she is. She plays flat. She really brings our line into attack, and we've got, like I said, we've got some really strong runners. I mean, Emily Scarrett against the USA just looks scary. Just sort of even playing flat on that line, because what I was saying about Danielle Waterman, you know, give her a bit of room and the sort of the runs she's making are fantastic. What I really like about these players as well is that I think they're stronger runners. Like, if you watch them in the centres and you look at the sort of technique, I think they run better lines than a lot of our men do. I think they run really strong lines. They really stand up the opposition and then look to sort of beat them on the outside or go for the inside. And even if it's not, you know, a clean break, it's always a half break that gives that opportunity. I think they've been, you know, there's clearly been sort of coached how to do this, and I think it's a great tactic because they really do sort of open up defences. But like we say, fair enough. Have we been tested yet? Probably not.
No, probably not. But you know, it looks like there's only one team that can test the Red Roses, doesn't it? So, you know, difficult one. Difficult to know what's going to happen. I mean, they've done it before. It's not like New Zealand are this indestructible team that can't be beaten. You know, they did it 3 years ago, and then in the World Cup, and of course,
3 weeks ago, whatever. Yeah, 3 months ago, or whatever it was.
And of course, yeah, they did it just recently. Was it New Zealand they beat in the final 3 years ago?
No, it was Canada 3 years ago. Exactly. So last time in the World Cup, New Zealand didn't even get out for group stages.
So they've improved massively, haven't they? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think it was one of those sort of more shock results because
okay.
the top team goes through. So it was one of those more shock results. But yeah, England beat, and don't forget, England beat New Zealand in the summer. England women beat.
Well, exactly. So only a few months ago. So they know how to do it. They've done it before. I would say the advantage is with England. I mean, we're making assumptions that England are going to beat France to make their way there, but I think they probably will. But
I think it's likely.
With respect to the French team, we'll say, as long as England can overturn them, and if they find their way into the final against New Zealand, I think it'll be a close game. But I would say England I put England just ahead. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the bookies say. But I think my money would be with England, and I just think there's New Zealand are incredibly dominant for sure, but England I think just have the professionalism bar, if you like, and because they are professionals, it's just that little bit higher, and this just highlights the benefits, the value of making it a professional game, and I think it's such a shame that the RFU have decided to pull the funding, and they're putting it into sevens, but why?
Why not both?
Half your England team make up your sevens anyway. So basically, you're saying we're only going to pay half the England girls' salary.
Yeah,
I don't know. We've got more money. We have the richest rugby rugby union in the world. Why are we not investing in sport? It's with everything, with all the kind of equal rights stuff that's going on, it just seems very wrong that it's okay to say, we're going to keep paying for the men, but we're not going to pay for women. And I'm not trying to be a hashtag feminist, but do you know what I mean? It does seem
you are a feminist.
It does seem a little bit. It does seem a little bit backward, given where we are.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous
that
they are. So when we're saying against New Zealand, so I would say New Zealand marginally are better than England. New Zealand are marginally better than England from a flair perspective, but England are marginally better than New Zealand from a professionalism perspective, from how well drilled they are, from sort of their set pieces. Just those tactical elements that come with being a professional team.
And I think this is what it comes down to. It comes down to England's defence, doesn't it? Because if the Red Roses' defence against New Zealand, and again, I'm caveat it with we're assuming they make it through to the final, both sides. But if the England defence stands up and shuts down New Zealand and prevents them from being able to take advantage of the flair, which is a very typical Southern Hemisphere trait, then I think England have the sort of the upper hand. Because, as you say, it's that sort of professionalism. It's that ability to just be. It's the rugby brains. It's the vision and the consistency and what have you that will enable them to just wear them down if that's what it comes to. Take their opportunities when they present themselves. Emily Scarrett's going to be key because her kicking has been very on and off. Like
it's a bit up and down, isn't it?
So 3 years ago, she kicked 15 from 15.
Yeah, I know.
And then this year, I mean, obviously in this game just gone, there was a phase in the middle where she couldn't miss, which is great. So she clearly has the ability to do it.
Oh, definitely.
But some of the misses are painful to watch and incredibly costly against a team like New Zealand if you're not taking your opportunities. So I really hope she brings her kicking boots.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that will be key. And do you know the interesting thing? I think the two most interesting matches in the whole of world rugby at the moment would be All Blacks versus England and the, I can't remember, but I think they're the Black Ferns versus Red Roses. So the men and women's England versus New Zealand, I think are the two best matches in world rugby at the moment. Will be the most interesting to watch. But obviously we're focusing on the women now. This match, and again, of course, we keep saying, assuming they'll get there. Let's just say they are going to get there because I think that's the 95+% likelihood.
Yeah.
That match, it will be a brilliant match. And what we're saying, just to go back to this funding thing, I would say, in my mind, England are slight favourites. If we're taking away the funding from the women, which the more I see our England women play, I think it's ridiculous we're doing that. If we take away the funding from the women, we're saying, we don't care if we're the best in the world or not.
I know, it's crazy. I just hope, it's obviously not going to get turned around this year. This decision's been made; it's going to happen. I just hope that this result, however it turns out, just highlights the importance of investing in sport. You can't. What are you saying otherwise? You're saying we're prepared to invest in the men's, but not. I don't know. Yeah, it's bizarre. And I really hope it sends a message, and the RFU kind of pulls a finger out their arse and goes, "Hang on a second, what the hell are we doing? We're trying to grow this sport across the board, men and women. At the very bottom of the ladder, grassroots, the kids getting into rugby to start with, it's all mixed. When they're just kind of getting a feel for the game and what the ball and running around. And my nephew, I think, was playing when he was about 4. It's not real rugby, obviously. It's they call it rugby's or something like that, and it's just running around with a ball in hand.
Tots.
Yeah, the same sort of thing. Running around with a ball in hand, just being comfortable with a slightly funny shaped ball compared to a football that rolls on the ground. And it's obviously not separated by gender at that stage. Why is it okay at, I don't know, 7, 8 to suddenly go? Yeah, now the boys, you keep going because you've got a future if you're really, really good. But girls, you might as well give up now because there isn't a future for you. I don't know.
It's insane. And this is one of the arguments from the RFU. We're putting loads of money in grassroots rugby for England. That is the same argument as a parent saying, yeah, I fed my kid a couple of days ago. It's fine. That's what you're meant to do, you dickheads.
Yeah.
Like, you're meant to look after them. That's the point of the English Rugby Union, is to build the game from grassroots. So don't be like, we're investing in grassroots. So at the top, screw you. It's like, no, that the whole point of investing in grassroots is so people can aim to get to the top and can see what can be achieved. Yeah. And you're exactly right. That's the exact point you were making. Like, the blokes are there like, wow, look at this men's team, look at the pride they play with. And also, realistically, look at the financial stability, look at the life it brings to them. If you show that dedication and that commitment and you've got the talent to be a top-level sportsman. Whereas for women, it's just saying, look, if you sacrifice everything, you might become an England women's rugby player, which I'm sure is 100% worth it. Not I'm sure, it's definitely 100% worth it anyway. But it will mean that life will be tough.
I'm amazed that it's legal. To be perfectly honest, when you look at all these companies that are getting in trouble, the BBC are a prime example, aren't they? Getting in trouble for not having enough women at the sort of the top end of the payroll scale, and whatever your feelings are on that, that's not what we're here to debate. But they're getting in trouble for not having enough of them, and here's the RFU saying it's all right to just say, well, we're just not paying women.
It's slightly different because women's isn't a professional sport.
But would you not say that last year it was, or this year it is, because they get paid salaries?
As in women's rugby as a whole, isn't a professional. No, I mean, so England's women are professional. I
suppose if you say it's a company and it's folded, and therefore we're having to we're having to make everyone redundant. I suppose if you look at it that way, you maybe get away with it from a legal standpoint, but it feels like it's setting things back a long way, doesn't it? Anyway, we're probably getting a bit carried away talking about this because this is not a new issue. It's not a new debate. It's going to go on, and I just hope that the result that they get out of this World Cup, and fingers crossed, touch wood, and all that it's the perfect result. I just hope it sends a message that says, "Come on, you got to have a rethink," because it's just pulling the funding is not an answer to anything. I don't know. I guess you've got to fill stadiums and things as well. So we said it last week. It's catch-22. If you don't invest money, you're not going to fill the stadiums. If you don't fill the stadiums, you theoretically can't afford to invest money. So I don't know what the answer is, but it has to be based on finding a way to continue to fund it and continue and turn it into a professional sport.
Yeah, and I think there's testament to England women at the moment. So I mean, like we say, it's hard. There's probably, we'll definitely do a sort of recap of the sort of semi-final, but to sort of analyse the matches, the last 2 matches, like we say, we went into detail and picked up a few points about it, but it's quite hard to analyse because England women, despite all this going on, are still just turning up and putting in brilliant performances. And like you say, the truth is the England women have just won every match by half time.
Yeah.
So you know, and then a second half, it's impossible because however professional you are, whether you're the All Blacks or an under-8s team, once you've won a game at half time, mentally you are in a different place. And yes, you might go on and clinically put on another 50 points. You might take your foot off the gas a bit. Neither of them are right or wrong, because the argument is take your foot off the gas, you save yourself for the next game. But it's hard. It's very hard to analyse a game from that perspective because you don't really know which way they were going. I think England women against the USA in the second half, of course, looking to play well, but they're not gonna go out and break their necks for the sake of stopping a try. That's not going to change anything.
Look, I think at the end of the day, is there extra value in a knockout competition? Is there extra value in putting 100 points on a team, or putting 60 points on a team, or putting 40 points on a team once you're into the knockout phases? And if obviously if you're a USA or someone and it's about points difference and you're looking to be the fourth place, the highest, whatever I can't remember what the terminology is for it, but in their situation, yeah, sure, you've got to keep going to the very end. And come finals, that's the same again. And there's pride, and these girls are, they're going to be their last game as professionals, if that's what we're calling it. So I imagine that plays a part too. But I think it's all right to take your foot off the gas a bit, to save a bit, keep a bit in the tank. New Zealand to score 121 points, even against a poor side, it's still a very high work rate, which is fine. It's great, but that will, especially when they're playing 2 games a week, sometimes as many as 3 games in a week. That's a big ask. So
yeah,
I'm not too worried. I don't feel like letting in a few tries at the end is something to be really concerned about, because it didn't feel to me like it didn't feel like the USA suddenly identified something that they hadn't identified before and took advantage of it. It just felt like the England girls just let up a little bit. It would be great to see us never do that and just beat everyone to 0. But it doesn't worry me too much. I still feel pretty confident that they can get the better of the Black Ferns.
I think so, and the sort of letting up a little bit. Maybe the defence was dog-legged for that second longer than it should have been. But then you're against, like we said, like the USA back three, they've got like an all-American sprinter there. So I don't think it's a major issue. I don't think it matters at all moving forward. All I'd say now is, like, to people listening, guys, really encourage you to watch England women play France. England women are awesome. That's on Tuesday. And should we win that, obviously, to watch the final next Saturday, likely against the All Blacks. Spread the word, get people to watch it. And also, guys, look into this whole professionalism debate thing about the England women. When people say hashtag something, I don't really understand what it means, but I'm sure Andy could tell you a hashtag that you could go to help support them. But you'll need his advice on that one.
Yeah, I think hashtag Wear the Rose, hashtag Red Roses, and hashtag WRWC 2017, Women's Rugby World Cup 2017 are the kind of the 3 main ones. Check us out on Twitter, guys. It's at England Rugby Pod. We're tweeting throughout the games, so if you haven't had a chance to, if you're not able to actually watch them live, you can at least just sort of get updates on what's going on. We'll keep you updated throughout the games. It's interesting, and obviously with games where we're putting on 40, 50 points, there's plenty of positive updates that come out of those games. So keep an eye on it that way. Obviously, you can also get in touch with us, ask us any questions, let us know your thoughts, let us know if you think there's anything that we're not talking about that we should be talking about. But yeah, get in touch. Also, you can email us englandrugbypod@gmail.com. We've got a website, www.englandrugbypod.com, so you can check out what's going on there. And of course, you're listening to this episode, but hopefully you've subscribed. If you haven't, head over to iTunes or wherever you listen to this, subscribe to us. That way you'll never miss an episode. It'll always be there ready for you when you're ready to listen. And if you get a chance, rate us, review us, because it's how we spread the word. It's how we get noticed. So we'd really appreciate it. And of course, we really appreciate you listening to us now. And we hope you continue to do so. Hope you continue to enjoy it.
Hashtag thanks for listening, guys.
Very good. Cheers, guys. Catch you next week.
Cheers.